Yesterday, the Steelers signed a familiar face, and you got Boswell making himself even more valuable to this team. And finally, a Steelers quarterback gets drafted to the UFL. All that and more, Big Deke News. Can I still call this Big Deke News? Even though it's not Big Deke News the way we knew it. I don't have a green screen. I don't have all that. Like, I could still throw up some graphics here and there, right? I could edit it a little bit to make it Big Deke News-esque. But when there are times I just want to hop on the mic and talk, I could also do that. So it's almost more of a flexible format. But I think I can't think of a better name for the show or this thing I'm doing where I'm talking about the Steelers and football and stuff. I think I just got to stick with Big Deke News. It was a good name, and maybe it's just Big Deke News 2.0. Maybe that's what this is. So let me know in the comments. Let me know if I'm off base or not. I think we'll just call this Big Deke News going forward, right? Why not? But now let's talk some ball. Tyler Matakevich makes his return to Pittsburgh, a.k.a. Dirty Red. Signed a one-year deal with the team yesterday, assuming it's going to be vet minimum type of deal. We know who Matakevich is. We're familiar with him. Spent his first 4 seasons here in Pittsburgh as a depth linebacker. We drafted him out of Temple. He's also a special teams ace, and he continued that role up in Buffalo over the last 4 seasons. Actually did, if you look at it, he did the reverse Moats. Moats did his first 4 years in Buffalo, then his last 4 in Pittsburgh. Dirty Red did 4 in Pittsburgh, then 4 in Buffalo, but makes his return to Pittsburgh for an additional year here. At least it's going to be at least one more, I think. I mean, he's got to make the team. I don't think it's a guarantee or anything, but I think the familiarity here and what he brings from a special teams standpoint gives him an inside track over some of our other depth linebackers, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, what it means for the depth chart and the linebackers and what type of role Matakevich could have and everything. But in a corresponding move to open up room for Matakevich, we released safety Jalen Elliott.
Who?
My thought is, how can anyone hate on this move? Because it's a cheap deal. One, there's no risk at all. But Matakevich, he's a good special teams guy. I think it goes hand in hand with everything the Steelers have been doing this offseason, and that is leaving every stone unturned. Wait, what's the phrasing? Leaving no stone unturned. I think that's the right phrasing for it. And trying to make this team as good as we can to win games this year, whether it's offense, defense, and particularly this offseason, special teams. Like, we've been bulking up this special teams unit. We brought in a Cordarrelle Patterson. We brought back Miles Killebrew, who made his first All-Pro as a special teamer last year. And then with us signing Matakevich, I think it is all pretty consistent. And, I don't see any harm in bringing back Matakevich at all. The familiarity is there. The quality play from a special team standpoint is there. He can provide you that inside linebacker depth. So, yes, nothing wrong with this signing at all. Couple interesting notes is, one, he was a Bednarik Award winner back in college, which was an award for being the best college football defender for that particular season, which makes the Steelers, or has the Steelers at 3 Bednarik Award winners on defense. Could be 4 if we brought back Pat P. That's got to be the current record right now. We got to be top of the league for Bednarik Award winners on a given team. But it's Matakevich. It's Peyton Wilson, who we just drafted from NC State. Minkah Fitzpatrick won the Bednarik Award at Alabama. And then, if Pat P was still on the team, he won it 1 year at LSU. Just a little interesting fact for you guys. But what does this mean for the roster? Like, how are things going to shake out on this 53? As I mentioned, I don't think Matakevich is guaranteed a roster spot. He's going to have to compete, but the familiarity with the system, special teams, Danny Smith is obviously going to help him out. But you look at what else we got at linebacker. It's kind of busy. We got our top 4 in Patrick Queen, Cole Holcomb, Landon Roberts, Peyton Wilson. However you want to organize that top 4, you can do that. But, yeah, Patrick Queen, Peyton Wilson, Cole Holcomb, Atlanta Roberts, those guys are making the team no matter what. Now, Cole Holcomb, I wonder if this move sends any messages or means anything for him. Like, is his rehab going as well as what's being led on or not? Because I'm seeing mixed reports on him anyway. I'm seeing that, okay, he might be able to be full go at training camp, but then I'm also seeing that, yeah, it hasn't been as good of a rehab as everyone was hoping. So who knows with him? Like, he might have to start the season on the pup list, which would open up a roster spot for someone like Tyler Matakevich. But then you look after those top four. It's Dirty Red, Mark Robinson, Kyron Johnson, Tyler Murray.
Who?
So it's really just going to come down to whether or not we keep 5 inside linebackers or 6. Because if it's 5, it's Matakevich and Mark Robinson competing for that 5th spot. Whoever provides the better special teams, whoever provides the better... It's probably just going to come down... I was going to say provides the better special teams and provides the better depth, but I think it's really just going to come down to who's the better special teams guy. Because if you're talking about the 5th linebacker, you're there for depth no matter what. I don't think if you're a little bit better at linebacker or the coaching staff views you a little bit higher at linebacker, that's going to be the thing that keeps you on the team as the 5th guy. No, it's going to be how do you help us on special teams? Because if you're out there on special teams, you might be getting 8, 9, 10 snaps a game. Whereas just as being the 5th linebacker, you're probably not going to see the field at all. You shouldn't be seeing the field at all. And with that, yes, I do think Matakevich does have the upper hand right now. In fact, I mean, if you look on ESPN's depth chart, they do have him higher than Mark Robinson. So that's what I think his spot is. That's what I think his path is to making this team. It'll be interesting with what happens with Cole Holcomb in training camp and just where he's at with his injury. But it's a solid signing. I think it's a quality pickup. I don't really have a bad thing to say about it at all. Speaking of special teams, though, with Matakevich and everything, saw a report that Boswell has been bulking up this offseason. Christian Kuntz said it on a podcast that he's trying to bulk up. Like, he knows what the new kickoff rules are. He wants to make himself useful. I find this interesting because you go back to whenever the NFL started, and that's what a lot of these kickers and punters were. Like, they were dudes that can actually be athletes out there on the field. They were dudes that were actual position players, but just were also able to kick or punt. It's just funny to me how things sometimes tend to flip on themselves. And in this case, you got Boswell, who is already a kicker, an established kicker, one of the best in the league, is making himself more valuable by bulking up. And who knows, is he going to go through like tackling drills in training camp? What's he going to be doing? But like, that's just the nature of the game now with this new kickoff rule. You want to put your team at a better advantage. You want to put your team in a better spot to be able to field these kickoffs. Like, you don't want to have just a lame duck player out there where it's 10 versus 11. So, yeah, if Boswell's going to be the one kicking, you're going to have to make yourself useful somehow. And that's, getting your body in the way, making a tackle, getting your hand in the dirt, doing something. So, yeah, bulking up, not a bad idea. But I think you're going to have also position players coming up in the ranks. Maybe working on kicking, maybe working on punting, maybe just trying to refine an extra skill. Like, you do it whenever, let's say you're a center. You could work on your guard play. You could also even be a tackle or move to tackle, like showing that versatility across the offensive line. Like Spencer Anderson. He played all of those positions across the offensive line in college. Like, that's a way to make yourself valuable. That's a way to make yourself useful. So I could see position players, let me dabble in this kicking a little bit, like a safety or something, almost like Justin Reed with the Chiefs. You might actually see that with dudes coming up in college and everything, like working on kicking. Who knows? Because there's an opening now. Like, there is a way to make yourself even more valuable with this new kickoff rule. Like, hey, you're a fringe safety. You're like a third or fourth string safety. Almost like what I was just talking about with Matakevich and Mark Robinson. Like, all right, if it's close enough for you guys at the linebacker position, where else can you help us? Okay, special teams, Matakevich, you're better than Robinson special teams. You're making the team. So if you're like the cornerback 4, cornerback 5, wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5, QB 3, who knows? Safety 3 or 4, wherever. If you're deep on the depth chart and it's close between you and another guy, oh wait, you can kick off, you could boot a ball down the field, and then cover the kick. You're gonna make the team. So good for Boswell. I guess, I mean, it makes me a little worried. I don't want him getting hurt out there because he's really valuable with his extra points and field goals and everything. One of the best in the league. So I don't want him to get injured. So that, yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. Like, do we even want Boswell out there? Like, is this good news or bad? Like, it's good news if he's going to be out there. You want him bulking up. You don't want to be putting himself in harm's way at a stupid clip where he's completely outmatched. He's obviously always going to be outmatched because, some of the dudes are going to be out there. I don't think Boswell is ever going to be physically bigger than. But at least he could try to help himself out a little bit. But do we even want that? Do we even want that at all? Point blank, period. Or should we go the Chiefs approach and maybe find a guy on this team that can just kick off for us? Because we don't got to worry about this with Boswell for extra points and field goals. We're talking about the kickoffs where there's going to be some high-end collisions. So I thought that was something interesting to note, interesting to talk about. And then last thing, though, I mentioned a Steelers quarterback was drafted to the UFL, and it's not one of our top 3 guys. It's not Russell Wilson. It is not Justin Fields. It's not Kyle Allen. I don't even think it's possible. I think the way for someone to get drafted was if you did not get drafted by the NFL and you were a rookie, a rookie free agent signing. And that's what John Rhys Plumlee was for us. So he was the one that got drafted to the UFL recently, 3rd overall. So congratulations to him, to the Arlington Renegades. Will he be jumping ship? Will he no longer be a Pittsburgh Steeler and try to take his talents to the UFL? Based off my research, it doesn't look like it, at least anytime soon, because he signed a $35,000 signing bonus with the Steelers. And UFL guys are making like $5,000 a week, and over the course of 10 weeks of their season, that would be like their salaries around $55,000. I think it depends on what their signing bonus is, but that's about what they make there. So already right now with the Steelers, Rhys Plumlee has $35,000 in the bank. And like, I don't think he's got the greatest of chances of making the Steelers team, but if he shows some stuff in preseason, he might be able to make another team in the league. Or worst case, he could be on the practice squad here in Pittsburgh or practice squad in another team. And I think over the course of a season, practice squad dudes make around $200K. So it's actually better financially to just be on an NFL practice squad versus being in the UFL. And the ultimate goal for any of these dudes that play football for a living is to be in the NFL. So I would still think, now I think there's one thing to be said for getting your tape out there, for actually playing, and that's what the UFL could provide. But I still think probably first year in the league, being on an NFL practice squad will do better for you in your NFL career than being in the UFL. If the money was all equal, or if money wasn't an issue. But then you add to it, you're making more money being in the NFL on a practice squad versus the UFL. I think Plumlee is going to be taking his chances here. I don't think he's going to be jumping ship at all, at least anytime soon. Maybe middle of the season. Maybe if he's not on a team. Here's my guess. If he's not on a team, not on a practice squad, yeah, at some point he'll sign this UFL contract because he has until December 31st, I think it is, to sign with this UFL team. But until then, I think he'll take his chances in the NFL. And you never know, too, man. Like, with the dudes that we have, obviously Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, no-brainer. They're going to be our top 2 quarterbacks. But with Kyle Allen, he's been a journeyman dude. I think he does have the upper hand over Plumlee, like no doubt about it, as being our 3rd guy. But if Plumlee shows off, He's the younger dude. He'd be the cheaper dude. I could see the Steelers parting ways with a Kyle Allen and saying, like, yo, let's just go with the youth. But the thing that Kyle Allen does provide is that just veteran tenure that he's had in the NFL, and he could probably help out guys like Justin Fields and Russell Wilson from a mental standpoint and just from an experience standpoint, being around in the QB room. That's something that Plumlee can't bring to the table. But it's something that the Steelers have done before. Remember Landry Jones? I think he was on like his 5th or 6th year here, and we had Mason Rudolph and Josh Dobbs, 2 young guys, and we ended up cutting ties with Landry Jones and having Mason and Dobbs be Ben's primary backups. So it's not like it hasn't been done before, and Kyle Allen doesn't even have that type of connection here in Pittsburgh like a Landry Jones did. So let me know your thoughts on everything I just talked about in today's show. Matakevich re-signing here. Boswell being an integral part of these new kickoffs and maybe making some tackles. He's bulking up. He's getting ready. Do you like that? I like it from the standpoint, like, if you're going to be out there, try to give yourself every bit of an advantage that you can. But at the same time, I don't know if we want him out there at all, point blank period. We might need to get a position player to start working on their kickoffs. And then Rhys Plumlee getting drafted to the UFL. What do you guys think of that? But stay chilling. Hope you guys enjoyed today's edition of Big Deep News. And peace.